People who fix bad tattoos. What is the funniest / worst story of a bad tattoo? I'm a tattoo artist. About 16 years now. I do a lot of cover-ups. In fact, I'm the go-to in our shop for the most challenging ones. There's not a super fun story for most of them. It's usually a case of the original tattoo being badly done, or it reflecting a time in life that is no longer relevant for the client. I cover a lot of scarred tribal designs and shitty flowers. Surprisingly enough, over the last few years I've stopped needing to cover up nearly as many names. I feel like people are finally learning not to make that mistake anymore. The funniest case that sticks in my mind is a woman who came in wanting me to cover up her ex-husband's name, which was part of a lower back rose design. I did so by extending some leaves and reworking it to balance out the new addition. A couple months later, she came back in to have her ex-husband's name re-added because, guess what? They got remarried. So I did it. But fortunately I convinced her to do it fairly small. Just in case. You know. Surprise surprise. About a year later she's back to get it covered again. She was a pretty cool lady in general, as I remember. And we had a lot of good laughs and I told you so's. I haven't seen her since. Or at least not for that expanding rosebush. Obligatory before / after photos. Not of the rosebush story, but just stuff from my portfolio. Link. com/a/n6woo. Not an artist here, but an old buddy of mine was going through a really religious phase and wanted the word Jesus tattooed on him in Hebrew characters. So he used the internet to translate and copied the word, printed it and got it tattooed. Unfortunately, he copied the word Hebrew in the Hebrew characters instead of the word Jesus. We still bring it up every so often. I have a friend who, shortly after high school, got a tramp stamp that said "Ride 'em cowboy." It fit her life at the time. Now, 20 or so years later, she's married with a family and has since had it covered up with a sprawling full-color nature scene with symbolism representing her kids. It's not what I would have chosen, but she likes it. Not to mention that her husband views it as a huge improvement over the original, so my opinion doesn't really matter. I had a client who was walking somewhere and a man in a van rolled up. The van guy rolled down the window and asked if he wanted cheap tattoo removal. My client shouted, "Hell yes," and climbed eagerly into the back of the van. The guy had a tattoo laser in the back of the van. My client removed his shirt and asked the guy to zap an unfortunate Jesus crucifix he got tattooed in someone's basement as a teenager. The tattoo took up his entire back. The van guy started zapping the tattoo when my client sees an amber plastic shield fall off of the laser. This is a shield that prevents the laser from burning the skin. He becomes concerned and asks the van guy, "Hey, what's that thing that fell off?" The guy replies, "If it fell off, it must not be important." And he continues zapping the shit out of wonky Jesus. My client pays him $20 and jumps out of the van, stoked on his good fortune. By time he gets home, the back of his shirt is soaked with fluid. He pulls off the shirt and his skin is bubbling, blistering, and quite literally fried. About a year later, he booked me to fix up his back tattoo. He tells me the back alley laser story and then takes his shirt off. Tattoo Jesus is battered, but still there staring back at me. His skin looks like lumpy hamburger meat. I've seen a lot of skin in my time and let me tell you, the scar tissue was unreal. We ended up tattooing a Japanese dragon over the whole thing. Tattoos do a good job of camouflaging scar tissue, so he left a happy camper. I feel the need to throw out the obligatory mom lecture. Everything about tattooing is expensive. If you are a cheap mofo, expect to spend 10 times the amount of money fixing your poor life decisions. Story time. I was in the shop shooting the shitty and looking through the books, while my buddy was in the chair getting some new ink. Young couple walks in. They're maybe 19 to 20 years old and pawing each other to the point that I thought they were going to fall down and have sex right there on the floor. Girl says we need matching Bobby and Becky forever tattoos with hearts and flowers. Artist, also a friend, doesn't even look up. No. Go away. You been together what? 1 month. 2. Come back in 5 years. The girl argued for about a minute and then they left. Artist, I hate doing cover-ups of my own work. A tattoo artist who was working on my sister-in-law told me this one. So this affair couple comes in and they want to get each other's initials in huge letters just above their groins. Under the belly button. The guy goes first. And when it's done, the girl walks out and the guy chases after her. He comes back half an hour later saying he needs to cover it up somehow. They were going to leave their spouses for each other, but she got cold feet and broke things off with him. So he didn't want to leave his wife now and couldn't go home with some girl's initials on him. The only thing they could think of that'd be big enough and bold enough to cover it was a butterfly. TL. Dr. Bro left the shop with a giant butterfly to hide his ex-mistress initials from his wife. I don't fix tattoos, nor do I personally have a bad one. But one of my good friend's wife was stationed in Germany, so they moved there. One of the first nights there, my buddy got hammered and wandered into a tattoo parlor. Basically just told the guy to give him whatever. Ended up being a giant naked woman with her hands tied behind her back and a dunce cap on. A guy from high school had no regrets tattooed to his forearm, then had it removed. I had a friend in the fire department that had the Maltese cross with the words on her duty. Seraphis. He was called Seraphis the rest of his career. I live in Los Angeles. I know there's one shop that will cover up any gang tattoos and even laser removes gang tattoos for free. I'm letting my roommate tattoo me right now, and I hope this isn't a no man. Oh man, I finally found my thread. Okay, so I'm a tattoo artist in California and there are a lot of people in LA who get drunk and come in for a tattoo, and I always say no and tell them to come back the next day if they still want it, but not all places are like that. So the worst one was when a 20-year-old guy comes in with his girlfriend trying frantically to not go through with this and everything, and when I see the tattoo I was floored. It was her name tattooed on his darn. While I was removing it we start talking. His GF had left for a coffee and she told him to think about it, but he immediately told me to remove it once she was gone. And apparently she also was a tattoo artist and they were at the parlor where she worked at, and they got drunk, and he agreed to get the tattoo which she had been trying to convince him to get for a while, and I guess he was way too drunk, but he got it. Now when his girl came back it was almost gone, and she freaked out saying she didn't think he would do it, and she went to Geo get a tattoo of his name on her wrist, so she lied and said she was getting coffee. She thought that was going to convince him to keep it, and how that was a sign of their love and a whole bunch of BS. But he came back with, would a person who loved me get me drunk and tattoo my darn, and that shattered her because she knew she was taking advantage of him that night. So he said we will talk at my place. I don't know what happened, but he later came in for more ink a few more times without her, so IDK. But yeah, he got a tattoo removed, and I got a story and a friend. So that is my story, sorry about it being so long. TLDR, guy gets tattoo on darn when drunk by GF, they get into fight, she tattoos his name on her, and they break up. There was a show, Tattoo Nightmares, where a woman overlaid good tattoos to mask really bad ones. Another one with a guy, bad ink. Good watching. I loved the work done on Tattoo Nightmares. Those artists are legit. The problem with the show is they over dramatized everything so badly. The ridiculous reenactments were so cringy. I would have rather seen more of the design process to see how they designed the new tattoo. Damn mate, I got a good one. It was 2018 I guess, and this mid-70s looking lady come in and asked for it to cover JP. Usually we first see the tattoo to see the metrics and all that, but she paced through that and went straight to the new tattoo design. Didn't want it to push her or make her feel uncomfortable to let me see the tattoo immediately, but I ended the drawing. She wanted a rabbit with roses by the side. Now this is where it all goes down. I go take a look on what I'm covering up and see a massive Nazi flag W, a little heart by the side, and the name inside was Hitler. I was shocked as duck. Did the cover up, and when I got to fill the name Hitler she started crying because she apparently was emotionally attached to a tattoo that had Nazi shti. I did the whole thing. She left like nothing happened. I went home that day and I think my girlfriend was the only one who knows. There ya go guys, you'll know now. Like this video and this good boy will be your mailman forever. We are Redditation. And we Redditate every day. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. Until then, check another video. Or don't. Either way, have a wonderful day you magnificent people.